Today on the Railway Room, I'm talking about my new OO9 diorama, Skelton's Moss. Hello friends, and welcome back to the Railway Room. So yes, today I'm going to be telling you all about Skelton's Moss, which is the new OO9 diorama that I built for the Pico Rail 200 competition. So if you've been wondering why there's not been any updates on the main layout build for quite a while, it's because I've been devoting most of my time to building this new diorama. I've already put a video of the diorama running on the channel, so if you've not seen that yet, go check it out. There'll be a link up there, maybe down in the description as well. But in this video I'm just going to explain a bit about how I built the diorama. Now, one thing that I have found when I've been building the main layout is that by trying to film everything that I'm doing, it actually kind of slows me down, because I've got to set the camera up and I've got to make sure I've got enough time to be able to get any work done, which has really kind of slowed down the progress on the layout build a bit. So when I came to do this diorama, I didn't want to get caught into that trap, so I quite consciously and deliberately didn't film any of the build process. Perhaps rather stupidly, I also didn't take any photographs of the build process either, so I'm afraid I've got nothing specifically to show you of the construction process itself, but instead what I'm going to do in this video is show you the overall diorama, and then we'll go through it all piece by piece, and I'll explain what all the pieces are and how I built them, what kits I used, and various things like that. Now, if you've not seen the previous video, the overall concept of the diorama is that it is a construction tramway that is being used in the construction of a new mainline railway in the Yorkshire Dales. It's inspired by the building of the Settle to Carlisle railway and Ribblehead Viaduct in particular. So it's set in the early Victorian era. Now, when I was young, we used to have quite a few camping trips to Ribblehead, so it is somewhere that me and my family have quite a close connection to. So trying to build something that was inspired by that very wild location was something that really drew me, and is one of the big reasons why I wanted to get in and do this project the way that I did. Now, it does seem to be a little unclear as to exactly what the gauge of the tramway used at Ribblehead was, but for the purposes of this model I've gone ahead and made it as a narrow gauge line for two reasons. First is it means that in the limited space of the Pico board I could fit a lot more in using narrow gauge, and the second reason is just that I love narrow gauge, and given the choice I will always choose narrow gauge over standard gauge. So that's it. I think that's enough preamble, so let's go and have a good look at the layout, and I'll explain all about it. Okay, so here is the overall diorama. Now, in starting to build this, you might notice the actual board level is here. So the first thing I've done is put some foam board across the top of it in order to raise the track level up above the board, and then I've cut into the foam board down here where the track comes up, and also across here where the viaduct is being built, so that can then be below the level of the main yard area. This does mean that the track does dip down slightly towards the front, although it's not hugely noticeable in practice. Then I've added extra layers of foam board up onto this corner in order to raise the track bed up, so that where the line is climbing up out of the valley towards the nearby cutting and tunnels that are somewhere off scene. So on top of the different layers of foam board on this corner here, pretty much on the whole of this side, I've put a layer of papier-mâché over it just to smooth it over. And then in the rockier area here around the stream, that's wall filler on top of the papier-mâché, just to give it a bit more of a jagged, rocky feel. So if we want to talk a bit about all the various things that are on the model, I might as well start at this side and work across. So the track, now this is inspired by reports from the building of Ribblehead Viaduct itself, in particular about the road or track from Hawes up to Ribblehead, which got described as being in quite terrible condition, with all the traffic going up to Ribblehead using it being virtually impassable, just wall-to-wall mud. So that's kind of the inspiration for this. So where I've cut through into the foam board to lower the level of the road coming up there, I've then put a little layer of wall filler over the top, painted brown, and before the wall filler has dried, I've just got some various random sets of wheels and dug some tyre marks up into the mud there as well, and there's then a various couple of different shades of brown painted over the top. The bushes here are a bag that I bought for my first model railway. I believe it's Woodland Scenics clump foliage, but it's so long ago I'm not 100% sure on that. Now, the first building we've come to really is probably this, which is the goods shed, which you may recognise as being the same kit as the engine shed over here, so I might as well talk them both at the same time. In fact, they are both built from exactly the same kit. Now, I've done a whole video about the building of this engine shed, so I won't go into too much detail of it at the moment. Instead, you can go and look at that video if you've not seen it already. There will be a link in the description and probably up in the top right somewhere as well. But if you remember from that, this engine shed is actually built at 2/3 of the design length of the original kit, which meant I had about 1/3 length of it left as spares, and because it's designed so that you can have doors at one end or both ends, there's also a spare set of doors, and that combination allows me to build this goods shed with the spare parts left over from this same kit, so it's just one kit between the two buildings there. What this does mean is the goods shed here is completely open at one end. In fact, I've not glued it down yet, so we can see it there. And that's not actually a problem from my point of view here, because what that does is suggest that this is not the full length of the goods shed, but it actually carries on off the modelled area, and so we're just basically seeing a cut through of a much longer shed. There are a couple of sacks and things inside the shed there, just to suggest its use. I am planning to add some extra bits of shelving and things inside there just to fully detail that a bit more. I could probably do that in a little bit of weathering on here as well. So moving on, we've got the two caravans here. These are actually built from different kits from different manufacturers. So this rounded, more gypsy kind of type one is an Ancorton Models kit. This green one comes from a manufacturer, it's a Czech manufacturer called Model Scenes, and there's actually 3 kits from that company on the layout, with the other ones being the hen hut here and the little wood shed on the other side of the engine shed. They're very nice little kits. They are supposedly HO scale rather than 00, but because of the nature of the buildings, ones that could be built to a variety of different sizes, in reality the difference in scale doesn't really matter or show up. So the stables here, now this is a kit from Scale Model Scenery. It's a card kit, and this is actually really nice. I'm really pleased with this. It's the first Scale Model Scenery kit that I bought, and there's plenty of nice detail of all the rafter work on the interior as well that you can't really see. It's a bit bigger than I would ideally have liked for the overall scale of the layout, but I think it's also good that it shows the importance of the horses during the earlier days of railway building. If we look across here, we've now got 3 buildings opposite them. So this one is the railway's site office, and we can see that it's different to the other two because it's got a slightly raised floor with this little balcony on the front. So the walls from all 3 of these are Wills clapboarding. The supports on the front of the balcony here, that's all just pieces of matchstick. The windows and the doors on these are all parts of the Pico range. So for the roofs of the huts is just a plain sheet of normal plasticard, which has then been covered with some self-adhesive building paper from ID Vaccines. The one I used there is BM055 tarmac/roof felt, and I've clustered them quite close together, just partly because there's a limit to the amount of space, but also just to show how tightly packed in and busy the shantytown is. So we might as well talk here about some of the figures on the layout. All of the men, and there's a dog here, the horses and the pigs, as well as the pigsty and all of the barrows and carts that the horses are pulling. They're all from Scale 3D as part of their range. Very nice they are as well, I believe. One thing that I will note is that there really are far too few people on the layout. In reality, there would be a lot more people around, and there also really should be more children. But of course, with this being set sort of early Victorian age, it's a bit tricky to find people who are dressed suitably for the period, which is one of the reasons why there are so few people. Possibly the best source for Victorian era people, I think, are Model U, but their figures are very expensive. The Scale 3D ones here are not quite as good, but still very good and less than half the price. I will probably be adding more people to the layout over time, quite probably some Model U ones as well. Because they do have such a good range and they are really exceptional figures. The odd ones out for the figures are in fact the chickens, and those are WW Scenics chickens. Another thing to note is we've got the point lever here. This is a 7 models kit, 7 as in the river rather than the number. And not only is it a nice little point lever, but it is also, if we can see, genuinely functioning. So I'm very pleased about that. I think it's really cool. Where the track drops down here to the front of the work area, that's a standard Pico wagon turntable, fairly easily recognisable. Again, down this end, all the bushes are the Woodland Scenics clump foliage. With the exception, there are some large thistle patches here. Those are again scale model scenery. At the end of each of the lines here, there is a set of makeshift buffers. Those have been constructed using some spare bits of Pico track, and they're actually rails dug down into the board and then some sleepers stacked up in front of it. All 3 of them are the same. And where we've got the track here coming across this really marshy ground, and again down here where the workmen are trying to get to where they're working, there's a load of planking down on top of the marshy ground in order to support the track. So this is basically just coffee stirrers that have been cut to length and painted, and then the track has been laid on top of that. Obviously these parts of track are unpowered, so anything on those is just going to be placed or moved by hand anyway. So if there's any instability in the track here, it's not really a problem from an operational point of view. I've also had to slightly bend the track here in order to be able to drop it down from the planking to meet the wooden turntable there. And the coffee stick planking across here makes a little bridge across the stream, and again the coffee stirrers are making planks where the workmen are walking across to where they're now starting to dig. And across the boggy marshland, these characteristic clumps of tufts of stuff, that's wild green battlefield self-adhesive large tufts from footpath scenes. I could probably have made something like that myself, but buying these ready-made self-adhesive ones certainly made it a lot easier, particularly as I was making it in quite a rush towards the end of the build process. Across here, the wooden scaffolding, that is a bush kit. I think that works really well. I'm really pleased with that. The pier of the viaduct, it's under construction. You can probably tell that the exterior of that is made with Will's sheeting. But then on the top I put a layer of bricks that have been made out of dried DAS clay, and then it's all been painted in to try and work together. Now the stream here, that's all made from PVA glue. It's dried. Where it's a bit faster running, I've actually curled up and put in a little bit of cling film. Very kind of old-fashioned technique, but I think it works okay. And then I've blended in some really watered down brown paints just to try and make it nice and ooky and muddy. Something that might actually look like a bit of a mistake or something here is that the stream runs down under the bridge here and then just kind of disappears. But this is actually something that you do find in certain parts of the country, where you get the streams running down into what is a massive bog area, and the water just spreads out into the whole marshy area, and that's what they're having to deal with. It's famously difficult conditions to try and build a viaduct over, and there were a number of places where this kind of ground caused significant problems building the Sale to Carlisle line, which was one of the principal inspirations behind the model. So the ground across here, I put a couple of layers of different lengths of static grass over, and then where it's really marshy ground, these marshy boggy clumps of grass, those are pre-made ones, and these longer clumps here, these tufts, those are actually woodland scenics pieces that I bought for my first model railway and never actually got around to using. Seemed like it was a good opportunity to get to use some of those at last. The ballast, or what passes for ballast on here, is essentially ash. It's a mix of various ashes from barbecues, and there's also some volcanic ash. So that's all kind of blended in, and then across there's a whole bunch of scatter material. I don't know where they were from, but I believe there's a lot of woodland scenics, and I've tried to mix up quite a lot of brown in with all the ash colour as well to give it a really earthy mixed kind of feel to it, and I also want it to feel quite muddy, which hopefully it does. And barely even seen in the video really, around the back of this hut is a little privy hut. That is a Mark Holcroft 3D print that I bought from Enwin's 3D. Now the main locomotive that I'm using on the diorama is of course the Fourdees, the Pioneer kit. I've done a separate video on that kit build, so I won't go through it again, but here's a link to the video, and again there'll be more links down in the bottom of the description as well. Wagons, so far I've just been using a couple of old Dundas kits and 3D prints of various Talashlin and Corus wagons. There's also some Inoxion Models Glyn Valley wagons in there as well. The Manager's Inspection wagon, that's also a new Inoxion Models kit as well. That really nice steam-powered winch is a 3D printed kit from Any Miniatures on eBay. Very, very nice that is too as well. And that gets pushed about at the moment on a Pico flat wagon. Okay, so that was my discussion of Skelton's Moss, my new 009 diorama. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you know the usual, comment, like, subscribe and all of that. Hopefully, now that this is finished, I can actually make a start working on the main layout again. So shouldn't be too much longer before there's some genuine new updates on that, and in the meantime there's going to be loads more videos, steam trains, narrow gauge, model videos, layouts, you know, all the kind of stuff that comes up on the channel. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, I do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.